Okay, so now we've got all this data into the map. Um, and so we're going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Right, so one thing that I want is just a column that's the soil name. Then I want a column that's kind of the dominant texture. Right, so, and I don't necessarily need the slope data. Um, so I could take that out if I wanted to. And that's because I can put in a topography layer into this map if I wanted. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and separate those out. And I'm going to take this out as well because it's a little bit confusing. I'm still not entirely sure what this is. Um, and then I might put some labels on these fields, right? So get a little more descriptive. And then I think I'm also going to add in some data manually, just about like depth to restrictive layers. So if you look in the metadata, there's supposed to be some sort of file. There it is. It's called CO restrictions, component restrictions, which is supposed to tell you the depth to the restrictive layer. But there isn't. So again, I'm not really sure what's happening there. I think there's some discrepancy between the metadata documentation and the data that you actually download from Surgo off of the web soil survey. However, if we go to the soil survey, we can see all that stuff, depth to restrictive layer, when we click on, uh, just one of these like 2711D here. Oh, and I need to start a new session, but when you click on that, you can see all that information. So I'm just going to go ahead and manually put that in to my map. Also, one thing to know about this is, so if you do need to go back to the web soil survey and check stuff and, make sure things are lining up correctly on your map, you can bring your AOI in as a shapefile. So I created this AOI in Surgo, right, or in the web soil survey. And so when I exported, that's one of the things that exports here is your AOI. So here's the shapefile. Put that in there. Then you need the .shx, which is that, and then the .prj, which is that file. And then hit set AOI. And then boom, it pulls your AOI up. So again, go to the soil map, okay, and then click on that, and you can see we can see the data that we want, right? So one of the things I'm interested in here is depth to restrictive feature, because that's potentially how deep my roots could go, right? So now I'm going to start putting that data in. What I'm going to do is go ahead and export the attribute table as a CSV. So again, export, save feature as, CSV file, and I'm going to go ahead and call this one just soil table export. All right, I'm not going to add it to the map. Click OK. And then just go into it. And now let's start making our map, this table, look the way that we want with the sort of data that we want. So I'm going to insert some columns in here. And I'll call this one soil type. This will be texture. And I mean, we can, if we want the slope, we can put all that in there. And then now I'm just going to go ahead and kind of manually input the data. Okay, so now all that data has been put in there manually. The fortunate thing is Excel, as you're typing this stuff out, Excel starts figuring out what you're doing and then allows you the opportunity to just like autofill. So it didn't take, that took me a couple minutes. All right, so you can see everything's in there, so I can go ahead and just delete this. I don't need the map unit name. It's not going to be a useful thing for me. Um, right, so that's good. And then let's go ahead. We're going to get rid of this in here because we don't really need it. And we may want these IDs in the future if we want to add other stuff in. So we could keep that um, and just call it, just name it whatever. So I believe comp field 109 was the component key, and the paramaterial group is the paramaterial group key. So I'll just leave it like that, and I might move these to the end of the attribute table. Okay, and then this is going to be like, we call it, PM kind, and then this is material. Um, cool, and then I'm going to go ahead and add a depth to restrictive layer. And this is going to be manually input from the web soil survey map. And again, like I said, there should be something, some table that is exported called CO restrictive in the in the tabular export, but it's not coming through. So I think there's some issue here, and I might call NRCS and kind of figure that out. So, anyways, for right now, what I'm going to do is just go ahead and go through each of these and then input that data. Now all that data is in there. So in this case, I just wrote, so everything was the depth to restrictive layers greater than 80 inches. So I just went ahead and put 80. So looks good. We don't really need the area symbol. We can get rid of that. We don't need the spatial layer thing, and then the musim and mu-key are useful. So I might move the mu-key over here with all the other keys, and then yeah, we can just leave musim in there because that's how we can look at our web soil survey map, compare these things, make sure everything lines up properly. Okay, so go ahead and save that and open up QGIS, and then import the delimited text layer and import our new table. Okay, looks great. No geometry, it's a CSV. Add it, and now we're going to append it to the the polygon layer, again by joining. And we can now actually get rid of all of this stuff that's joined to the layer because we no longer need it. So I'm actually gonna do that. To delete those joined layers, QGIS just crashed, but that's fine because I've done everything I needed to do. So what I'm going to do now is just open up the shapefile. That's the mapping units. So there we go. Soil MUA AOI shapefile. Okay, there it is. And then I'm going to bring in the CSV file that we had created that has all the there it is, soil table export, right? That has all the stuff that we want. Click add. And now I'm going to append it to the polygon layer. So properties, join, and then soil table export to, and we can go ahead and use the MU key. And then we're going to use the MU key from the polygon layer. And then the join fields, we don't need symbol because the symbol is in the polygon layer. but we do need soil type, texture, slope, available water, depth to restrictive layer, drainage class, and then we're going to take field 8, PM kind, PM material, the keys there, and we're not going to take MU key because we already have it. Okay, we're going to get rid of the prefixes, click OK, click apply. Right, now we look at our table in here, and it looks solid. Okay, I don't know why we have field 8, well that blank field is in there, but we can get rid of it, but we need to get rid of it by, we can't do it right now. What we need to do now is save this, so go to export, save feature as, save it as a shape file, or as a, I'm going to go ahead and do it as a JSON, and I'll just call this one, okay, and click save. And actually, I think I can get rid of it here if I unclick that, and then that'll get rid of field 8. All right, then add this thing to the map. So it says add save file to the map, yes. So now I can get rid of this layer. Now if I open the attribute table, so now you can see everything in here. So I don't really need the symbol, the spatial layer. I can go ahead and get rid of that just by toggle editing, delete field, and get rid of those. Okay, great. Oh, and for some reason that didn't work. Oh, this is doing very strange things. Deleted some stuff that I needed, but that's fine. We still have everything, the main stuff we want. So what we can do in here is now we can label by soil type, and so single labels, and we could do it by soil type. Okay, and one thing you see are these small little bits over here on the corners, which we could delete if we wanted to, or merge them in to some other layer. Another thing we could do is classify the colors based on some sort of feature, so categorized here in the symbology. And then we could say, let's do it by soil texture, right? Hit classify. I mean, everything's a silty clay loam, so this map is just going to go blue. There's nothing really that interesting here. We could do it on available water. All right, so maybe that's, and granted these values aren't super different, but, we could see, all right, this soil here is going to have less water than, Jory, right? Which may be a function of something like depth or, who knows, right? So there's those kinds of ways of styling your map. We can also do things like add in more labels. Like we could put in Jory and then put in beneath that the dominant texture of the soil, and then beneath that we could put parent material or whatever, which I'll show you in the next video.